Welcome to another edition of Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. And here's your host, Russ McClellan.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one of those three. I appreciate you tuning in one more time. Well over 100 shows and counting. I don't know how that happened. I'm getting younger every minute. Today I have a couple friends. One of them I know very well. His name is Mason Roy McClellan. How you doing, son?
Good. How's it going?
It's going good. And Casey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Casey is a representative of Succession Winery. Yeah, also a friend of my son's. Good friend. You know what I mean? So I have them both in here. I corralled them. Speaking of corral, before I get to the show itself, I want to plug the teddy bear corral that we're doing all month. And that is, we have sponsored, that is Keller Williams, our company, PrimeLending, Z Country, 94.7, and KOZI, AM 1230. We've gone together to corral teddy bears. Do you guys know about that?
I did. Yeah. We talked about it.
What that means for people that don't know is that when first responders go out on a call, whether it be EMS, fire, police, or maybe just social workers, they're often vicarious situations for children. They're confused, they're hurt, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's domestic violence, maybe it's a car wreck, maybe it's all of the above. And if those first responders can hand an 8 to 10 inch teddy bear, ideally, so they can put more in the back of their car. So big giant teddy bears sound good, but we'd like them 8 to 10 inches. They need to be new. Then they can hand those teddy bears to kids in that time of need. And so for a few months here, we've sponsored a major sponsor of this, because I believe that if we can do something in that moment for children, not only does it make their lives maybe a little less intense or dramatic and scary, but it also helps the first responders do their job. And without those first responders, we'd be in trouble. So you can go to Z Country's website. You can call my office at Keller Williams, which is 509-888-0038, and help us with teddy bear donations or cash through a nonprofit that we got set up, and we can go buy those teddy bears. So anyway, enough of the teddy bear corralling. Let's talk about real estate or something, or wine, or whatever we feel like talking about. This is a real estate show, and every once in a while we talk about real estate, but quite often I just ramble. It's one of those things a salesperson does, I guess.
Yeah, more often than not.
Yeah. So Mason, what was it like growing up with a real estate dad? I've been doing this since I was, you're 25. I started when I was 19. So you saw me from the day one of your birth to today. I've been in real estate.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think I learned a lot more than I realized growing up. Coming back from baseball games, basketball games, about half of what happened at the game, and the other half was the supply and demand spiel. So it was good.
Yeah. Now you're, you guys both kind of messing around with the school, real estate school, thinking about real estate?
Yeah,
school?
here in like a month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, we have a program that is now free to anyone that would like to sign up for the 90-hour class in the state of Washington, which gives you the training necessary or the qualifications necessary to take the state exam. That used to be about a $500 fee. We now pay that, essentially. So we've partnered with the largest real estate school in the country, and we now offer an unlimited amount of students. I think we have like 65 people in school right now since November 1st. So I appreciate that. It's admirable because even if you don't use it, everybody lives somewhere, whether you're renting or buying or want to buy, or, it tells you a lot about real estate is more than just like being a salesman. Someday you might want to buy a house. Someday you want to invest in rentals, or you're dealing with a landlord right now and you're like, what are my rights?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is connected, right?
Super helpful.
Yeah. So one of the things I like to talk about, Mason, with you is that you, congratulations, are a homeowner. You were a 5-year Marine Corps enlistee. You got out of the Marine Corps as a sergeant. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate that.
You were on the V-22 Osprey program, right? Where you learned a little bit about electronics and...
Yeah, did a little flying, worked on some electronics. It was a good time.
And that's the helicopter that turns into the plane. If people don't know what a V-22 Osprey is, and you were in the squadron Evil Eyes.
Yeah, VMM 163, Evil Eyes.
Okay. And I just remember you sending me videos of like you shooting a 50 cal out the back of a helicopter plane and going, "Oh, I think I spent some government money."
Yeah, there's
What
a
are you
couple
shooting
dollars, a couple dollars there to have some fun.
You
Appreciate
hitting-
you guys.
I go, "Are you hitting what you're shooting at?" "Yeah, I'm hitting the ocean. That's what I'm shooting at." So
Yeah.
big target.
Yeah, can't miss.
Can't miss. So when you got out, so you went in at about 19, you got out and you kind of used those skill sets a little bit to get a job at Van Doren.
Yeah. Yeah, I build motor control cabinets for Van Doren for their fruit packing lines.
What is a motor control cabinet? What does that
Basically, it's like the brains of like the whole operation within the assembly line. So they do some bin to box is what we like to say. So we have like a whole fabricating section of the company, and then all these motors that run conveyor belts, pulleys, the whole nine. And then with the cabinets I build are basically like the computer side of it. Then we have contactors and VFDs, so like these drives that can control all these different motors, how fast, how slow, and then the programmers come in and they'll program when things turn on and when things turn off to make everything run smooth. So it's kind of a lot of technology in it nowadays.
Yeah, and like anything, you know, whether you're getting a real estate license or you're going to work at a company, you learn a lot after you get there. Right? I always tell people in real estate, the class is just the 90 hours that you take in order to take the state exam is just helping you get those prerequisites to get that license to make money. The test itself isn't going to teach you how to be a professional. Probably just like you went to the Marine Corps, boot camp didn't teach you how to be a Marine. But you know, there's a starter. When you went to work at Van Doren in day one, you probably didn't know what you know now.
No, yeah, coming out of the Marine Corps, thought I was pretty hot shot electrician on planes, and then I showed up first day, looked in one of those cabinets, and I realized I had no idea what I was talking about. So,
Yeah. Well, there's an old saying: if you don't get humble, life will humble you anyway. So the faster you can get humble, the better off you're going to be. Because if you stay arrogant, life has a way of knocking you down, and then you get humble whether you like it or not. So how long was it between the time you got out of the Marines and the time you bought your house and closed?
think about 10 months, 10, 11 months around there. I think I got out in December. I bought it October timeframe, so whatever
Last
that is.
October 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you bought a house, and this is just really good information for people. There's all these myths, real estate myths about what you can and can't do when you're thinking about buying a house. So one of them would be, I have to have my job for 2 years. Wrong. Wrong answer. You got yours in 10 months. I have to have 20% down payment or I can't buy a house. Wrong. That's a myth. Well, that's what the banker told me. Okay, well, I love bankers. They're not always right. You know, there's a lot of people that do lending. Bankers are one, like the traditional banks. Then there's mortgage companies like you went through with PrimeLending, who's a sponsor and one of my co-hosts in the fourth segment of this show. In fact, we'll be talking to your loan officer, Michael Maher with PrimeLending. Tell me how we did it. Like when we started looking for a house for you, what was your, what I'm trying to get to is to help educate other people that are in a similar situation where they find themselves renting and they're thinking about buying a house. They don't have a lot of down payment. Seems like the house prices have gone ballistic. Interest rates are now rising. So it's kind of this perfect storm where you see appreciation, meaning home prices going up, and you see interest rates growing up, and we have an affordable home crisis, right? So what was going through your mind when I started talking to you and you came to me and we were starting to talk about buying a house? Can you remember like trying to put yourselves in those shoes so you can relate to other people or they could relate to you?
I mean, yeah, I think in my first home buying process, it was just, you're speaking a different language at first. Like I trust you, but then it came it came up and it worked out, and obviously you know a thing or two about real estate, I think. So it was just really, it was a good experience. Like I didn't really know the process of buying a home, and obviously you helped me through that. And then we were looking for a house, and we found one that you wanted to show me. And at first I was like, I don't know. And then we went down there, and it was great property and what I liked. And we kind of worked on the price a little bit for what it needed, and it did need quite a few things for how old the house was. It was a pretty old house, and we just ended up working that out. And with the rehabilitation loan, that helped a lot with getting moved in, or in the process of getting moved in, because I think without that, it would have been a lot more tough to get, because I think I got a new septic system and heating and cooling system through that rehabilitation loan, which to me right now feels like, well, I didn't pay anything. But really it's in the mortgage, but it's not, something you can do to get moved into a house without, you can buy a cheaper house or and then have those things done into the mortgage, and then you got that upgraded. And there's like, I don't know, I know Michael knows a lot about that, and there's like, what did he say, how many different rehabilitation loans?
Yeah, I think he has like 18 different types of programs: FHA, VA, USDA, conventional. Those are all your basic ones. That then inside of those basic loans, there's these derivatives, there's these enhancements, and that's one of the words I use a lot. Michael calls it a rehab loan. That's the lender's words. I always call it an enhancement loan to my clients. It makes it, makes it feel good. And the key to it is that the seller gets paid off at closing, and then you begin the work. And that's a big difference. There used to be an FHA rehab loan that was like kryptonite to realtors. It just sucked. I mean, you try to do that loan, the underwriters, you'd take like a year and a half, and they'd still be asking for stuff. And so as realtors, this is like 20 years ago. And so sometimes the realtors still, when they hear those words rehab, it's like PTSD. Like, I ain't doing that loan. I'm not touching that loan. And some mortgage brokers feel the same way, where they just think about the old version of that word. But it's now a completely different program. We just use the same words. As is most things in life, things change. So, hey, when we come back in the next segment, we do 3 segments like this. So I thought maybe we could dive into that process a little more and how you feel about it now as we get done with this story. Just trying to help people understand there's options out there in this tough market. All right, we'll be right back with Home Sweet Home and Russ McClellan and friends.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
With the new Keller Williams School of Real Estate, you can now get your license for free. Access tools, tips, and personalized coaching with Keller Williams' award-winning training programs, and start off your career in real estate the right way. K-Score is 100% online and entirely free to students, with pre-licensing curriculum geared toward placing aspiring agents on a direct path to licensure and profitability. With K-Score, we're not just unlocking the door, we're opening every door to anyone that's ever dreamed of starting their career in real estate. We're making a difference for you so that you can make a difference for others. Now available for all individuals in Washington. Your future awaits. Enroll today.
We're excited. We got a lot of people signing up, so give us a call, 509-888-0038, or simply email us at joinus@kwncw.com. Let's go from being stuck to unstuck.
You're tuned to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. Now back to Russ.
For those who've been tuning in, I got my son Mason McClellan. Casey, Succession Winery. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me this morning. And what we're trying to do is help people understand that there's options out there in a difficult market to buy. And so, Mason, I'm using you as a case study. So I appreciate you sharing your own thoughts and feelings around how this went down. So where we left off is that you had explained that this enhancement rehab loan basically allows the seller, you negotiate a price with the seller. The house was 90 years old that you bought, didn't have a heating and cooling system, really.
Yep.
Didn't have a septic system, really. So then you buy it for X based on its current condition. But what we did is we noticed these things, and we said, how about we add the septic system? It's like 12, 13, 14 grand. Add the heating and cooling system, it's like 10, 12 grand. put those into the loan, meaning they are amortized into one loan, not a second mortgage, because some people think that that's what happens. You close and then you get a second mortgage, which would be a different loan. It used to be called 80/20s. But you did a 97% conventional loan, so you put 3% down. Then I created an environment where the seller paid the closing costs, which were about 3%. So you were able to buy this house for under $300,000. One of the things you also do is you look at the lots, right? You look at the land. And this particular, it was in the city, but it was in an incorporated city, but it had 3 legal lots of record. So one of the things I always teach my real estate brokers in contracts class and in what we do lunch and learns every week is to look at those legal descriptions and determine what, if anything, can be downsized. So maybe down the road, you'd have a legal lot of record where you could maybe build something else on it, et cetera, right? Because you have to have a legal lot of record that has to be buildable. And there's a whole process that we went into studying that for you. So after you closed, I remember I said, I can help you do this deal, but you're going to have to learn a couple words like sweat equity.
I've learned sweat equity at this point.
So all I said to you was, you go to work at what time every morning? Like 4?
Yeah, around there.
Around 4 or 5 a.m., something like that. And then you drive down to Baker Flats. You work at Van Doren, or you're wherever you're at, out in the wilderness with the sheds, warehouses sometimes. Yeah. And then you get off work at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you go to work at your second job.
Yes, I do.
Called sweat equity.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. One of the things that I tell buyers is that that bad word, LAZY, in a market like this, it's going to make it harder. It's going to make it harder if you're lazy. But if you're driven and if you're willing to work, there's ways that you can get equity by, even if it's just cleaning the yard up, right? Just some of the very basic things. You don't have to hire it all done. And you have to sacrifice, especially as a first-time home buyer, right? Sometimes you got to want it more than you want to stay the same. And that intensity has to come with this package deal, right? So you bought this house. So tell me what you did. What have you done to that house? And some of it was not in the loan. Some of this you decided, okay, well, I'm going to remodel it. And if anybody's ever done a remodel, especially of a 90-year-old house, what happens?
The snowball effect. So I started with the upstairs, and right now my bathroom's torn apart. So I started upstairs, and just because the upstairs needed some work, and I had a buddy that's going to move in with me, and it was just an old house. It has a wallpaper kind of cracking. The floors are a little, like opened up a little bit. So I had to just do some work. So we started taking off wallpaper, and then we slowly got down. Well, if we're going to do this could probably use some work, and just snowballed down. And now I've got almost a full remodel into the house, and it's been a lot of. I was very, very lucky to have some really good friends that came down and actually kind of knew what they were doing with some carpentry stuff. So they helped me out a lot. But, I've never done a lot of this stuff. YouTube's been my best friend since I started this thing, and it's been a good learning experience. So
yeah, that's a great point. I was thinking about that. We were I was like the last generation that grew up without Google, right? Where you can't Google something. You have to actually read the book. Can you imagine kids reading books now?
No.
Like you have to do a book report? What the hell? Even in my own company, like my sister Kelly is in charge of our admin. She's what's called our market center administrator, and she'll ask me a question. I'll say, "Did you Google it? Did you YouTube it?" Because we're all at different places and generations in our life, and we all see the world a little bit differently. So, in real estate, there's like 7 generations of people working in the same building. Some of us have barely knew how to turn a computer on, and some of us were born with laptops in our crib. So, it's a dynamic. But what you did is you took advantage of tech, and so you didn't know something. And so instead of being afraid of not knowing, you just rolled up your sleeves and said, you just said it, YouTube's my best friend. You can type in anything on youtube.com and figure out what to do.
I think it's tough, like when you don't know how to do something and then you YouTube and you're like, okay, I think I have a good idea how to do it. Then there's that moment when you get all your materials, you get everything together, and you're just about to actually start doing it, and you're like, I don't know what I'm really doing. But for me, it's just been, we just got to start. like, you're gonna make mistakes. Like, obviously, you've never done this before. You're not a professional. Like, it's not your job. You do another job, and you come home and you do this. And so it's always that okay, I don't really know what. Like, I'm doing the plumbing in my house now because I had really old pipes in the house and I'd never done plumbing before. Someone told me about PEX pipe, and I looked it up. I'm like, well, that seems easy enough, and so I just gave it a shot, and now I'm like almost done redoing the plumbing in my house. Because you got to just take that first step, and the rest of the steps are a lot easier.
Yeah, and there's a place and time you get advice, and you had some good professionals come in and look and give you some advice. There's certain things you need permits for. There's certain things you can do on your own, and sometimes you can do the grunt work even on something you need permits for, and then you just bring in the licensed and bonded contractor to actually officially be the one. So there's some things out there, but the point is that you took on a challenge, and failure is just spicy learning, right? I mean, that's just part of the game, right? And how boring would it be if we never tried anything new? I'd kill me. The other one is going from one failure to another failure to another failure without the loss of enthusiasm is the quintessential definition of success. What happens most of the time is people get frustrated and they quit. And the only way you really fail is if you either don't try or you quit. And persistence is the key. And so here you are grinding it out. You've been on the remodel now, what, about 3-4 months? I don't even know, 4 months? October, November,
About
December,
5.
January, 5 months. Yeah, so you're going to end up with a home that you have a lot of equity in. The market's appreciated since October still, meaning it's gotten more valuable. And now you're going to be able to do a lot of things. Like you said, you have part of it rented out to help you cash flow. You also had a couple of shops on this, and there's ways that you can remodel those, and they're on separate legal lots of record. Again, it goes back to that identifying inside the legal description what you really have and the flexibility. So what I'm trying to do is explain to people right now that feel like this market is untouchable. Like, I hear it all the time. I can't afford this, especially since rates jumped. The people that were on the bubble with the debt-to-income ratio can't buy right now in their head. So here's what I say, like you did. It's nice to be able to go on a car lot and buy a brand new BMW. It smells nice, feels good. It's $80,000 and the payments are $1,500 a month, but it's cool. You're going to own $80,000, drive it off the lot. It's worth about $40,000 that first day. So now you're upside down for the next 5 years. Okay, that's one way. Or you can buy a used car at an auction for $3,000 or $4,000, like the blue Ferrari that I have. It's very impressive. It's a joke. It's actually a Toyota Matrix. And I bought it for $4,000 in an auction. It's a cool commuter car. And then it pays me to drive it, right? That's what I like to say. Well, houses are the same thing. So if you're out there in the market and you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking around and you're like, God, these houses, man, $400,000 for that? Ugh, that needs this and that. Okay, so why is it worth that much? One of the basic Econ 101 principles is called supply and demand. What's happening right now is we have a big demand and not a lot of supply. One way to get creative, because if you're not creative like you were, you're going to pay retail. The goal is to pay wholesale, buy low, sell high. So what I recommend to people is to look for the ugly duckling in the neighborhood. Look for that house that has that when I show houses to people that are like barely on that bubble of being able to afford a home, and interest rates have gone up. But let me make a very clear distinction between renting and buying. Rates right now are about 4%, 30-year fixed, maybe a little higher depending on your credit score. When you're paying rent, guess how much interest you're paying? 100% interest. You get no credit for anything except for that month you live there. That's 100% interest. Then all of a sudden, 4% doesn't sound as bad. But because we've been in unprecedented low interest rates for a decade, people think, oh my God, we're 3 to 4. But it hurts them ability to buy. So what I say is when I hear the words, man, this house sucks, I go, yeah, I like it. That's awesome. What don't you like about it? This kitchen is ugly. Isn't that beautiful that it's so ugly? Because that is where you're going to be able to buy this house at a discount, where so many people want to buy the new car because it looks good right out of the gates. and they don't want to sacrifice, and they don't want to work hard, and they don't want to deal with it. Well, guess what? That ugly bathroom is going to take out most people, which means the demand for that ugly duckling is less, and you might be able to get a better deal. All right, so in this last segment, we're going to talk about how do we spin that. I also want to talk about Succession Winery with Casey.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home, your home sweet.
If you want to change your life once and for all, well, I'm here to tell you that you can. This is JP, former radio host in Wenatchee Valley, now a licensed real estate broker at Keller Williams North Central Washington, and the first local graduate of the free Keller Williams School of Real Estate. After many years in the radio industry, I desired a lucrative, independent lifestyle, not just another dead end. And you can too. The free Keller Williams School of Real Estate teaches online 24 hours per day, which means you can learn on your free time and at your own pace. You'll earn 90 clock hours, which is mandatory in Washington State, and you will graduate ready to pass the Washington State Broker's License Test the first time, like I did. You can do this. Call ECs today for more information at 888-0038, 888-0038. Tell her JP sent you.
Hi, this is Russ McClellan, designated broker and operating partner of Keller Williams Realty NCW. You know, we have almost 70 agents and growing rapidly. We're almost a legit company now with over 2.5 years experience. The good news is this: if you're thinking about changing your life, my goal and my mission to you is to help you transform the life that you deserve and that you want, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. What does that mean? Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. If you want to work part-time, I'll show you how to do it. If you want to work full-time, I'll show you how to do it. And I'm also willing to show and demonstrate our commitment to you and our conviction to our company and transparency by giving you any of the numbers of any of the 70 people that work at Keller Williams. We're a family, we care about each other, and we care about you. So if you want to change your life, you want to get into real estate and have some fun, let's get together and talk. 509-888-0038. Give me a call anytime. You can also call my cell phone at 509-470-2416.
You're listening to Keller Williams Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. Now back to the show.
I got my son, Mason Roy McClellan, and Casey. It's nice of you guys to come down, make a day of it. You
Yeah,
guys
it's
are
a great day.
right? Yeah, friends. I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter how old your kids are, you still give them a bad time about everything. That's the good news as they get older.
Yeah, your hair's looking great today, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I told the guy one time the reason I shaved my head is so I didn't have to worry about my hair turning gray. And he goes, "Have you seen your goatee lately?" I was like, "Damn, that sucks. You just can't win for losing." All right, so here's the thing. We're talking about buying houses that are ugly ducklings. One might say, "Well, Russ, it's not financeable." That's true. If you try to do a normal traditional loan that 99% of the realtors know about and 99% of the real estate mortgage brokers know about. Here's the thing. Ask your real estate broker if they know what the enhancement loan is or the rehab loan is. If they don't, ask them to call PrimeLending and get educated, right? Or find a real estate broker that knows what that is, because in this market, creativity is the answer and structure of the deal is the answer. Like you did for you, Mace. You bought a 95-year-old house, didn't have a heating and cooling system, didn't have a septic system, did a 97% conventional loan. We put in $25,000 after closing to fix it up. Like you said, it doesn't feel like I spent that money because it's amortized over 30 years. It's just a small marginal payment increase. But those big ticket items stop people, right? Can you imagine buying a house and then somebody says, "Oh, by the way, to get it qualified, you need $25,000 in cash to invest." Well, a lot of people think that's what has to happen. Let's use that kitchen example that I was just talking about. I've heard this from couples. It doesn't matter wife or man, but one of the people said, I'm not sexist, so I got to say that. One of the people said, "This kitchen sucks. I'm not buying this house." And I said, "How would you like to include a brand new kitchen as part of this deal? And your payment would go up $100 a month. Would you do it then?" Because here's the thing. And they're like, "Yeah, well, how?" Right? Well, this is where the expert advisor comes in. That's what Keller Williams brokers do. I think we have 75, 80 brokers now. I train every week on things that aren't in books because I've been doing this for 32 years. And I've been pressing envelopes for 32 years, and I've failed miserably many times. I'm still pretty good at it, actually. One of the things that I believe in is if you're not pressing, you're not living. There's 2 dates that matter and a dash in the middle. Make the most of the dash, right? Because nobody's immortal. So let's have fun and get as creative as we can. So let's go find these houses that nobody else wants to buy. That's the key, because supply and demand. So let me ask you this, guys. How many people do you think that are looking for homes want at least a 3-bedroom home, like in a percentage of the people? I would say a pretty high percentage, right? I got a kid or two, or I need an office, or, hobby room. Okay. Well, if 75% of the people, it might even be closer to like 90 actually, if the vast majority of people looking in the current real estate market want a 3-bedroom or larger home, my first advice to people would be go find a 1 or 2-bedroom home. I can't live with a 1 or 2-bedroom home, Russ. That's not going to work. Well, there's no better way to gain equity than add square footage. So you look at the dirt first. The house is a byproduct of the land. The house we can manipulate. The dirt, we can push it around. But you ever heard the saying, location, location, location? So go find a nice lot with a crappy house on it. Get some bids to fix it up. Use your realtor as the quarterback of the transaction, the facilitator of all those allied resources that we know about, those contractors, including the ones not to hire. Because trust me, even though they say to me that's a liability sometimes, I say that's just okay because it's part of my job to tell you who to go to and who not to go to based on my own personal experience. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but we give a lot of advice, right? And that includes every level of this game. So if you could find a house that's 1-bedroom house on a nice lot, and let's say you get it for $200,000, because there's not that many people that are out in the marketplace right now looking for 1-bedroom houses. So that poor seller with a 1-bedroom house is like, this sucks. Nobody wants to buy my 1-bedroom house. I'm going to have to remodel it, and I don't have the money to add any bedrooms. We do, because we're going to use the rehab loan. Let me ask you this, Mace. What was the most frustrating thing about this whole process? Besides maybe just trying to learn on YouTube.
I would say just getting everyone on the same page, like the contractors and everything. It was just, kind of, especially living in Chelan, everyone's so busy. They have so much stuff to do. And with these rehabilitation loans, there's time limits on when you can get it done. And so I've been having to do some extensions on the completion date. And no one's really, followed their own. It's just, one of them was COVID shipping. So I couldn't get the mini splits or the heat or whatever it was in from that company. They could have put it in, but they just didn't have the parts. So, and then, now we're waiting on another contract. So it's a lot of that. You get a crash course in kind of working with contractors and stuff. But I think everything else went pretty smooth. I got obviously Michael helped out a bunch, talking to him. He's very, very smart on this subject. And then when I got the actual rehabilitation loan started, a disbursement officer called me from Texas, and I've been talking to him over the last couple months, and he's kind of assigned to my loan, and he kind of handles that, and he does the payouts, and so it's very smooth for what you get out of it. I would say, if you're trying to get that house and there's something wrong with it, and you still have room, I would get one of these loans because it's done professionally, and it's into your loan, like you said. And it's over with. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's got to help with the equity of the house as well.
Yeah, you never want to buy the nicest home in the neighborhood. You want to do quite the opposite. Let that neighborhood pull your home up, or let that remodel pull your home value up. It comes down to how many people are looking for that home that you're trying to buy. And most people don't know what the rehab loan is, or they think it's the old one, which sucked. The new ones are pretty easy. And you have to have a guy like Michael, like you said. You got to have the right allied forces in your corner. Realtors quarterback the transaction, and what that means is we got linemen. They're called loan officers. We got running backs. Those are our appraisers. You have to quarterback this thing. This is a team effort, and the more experience you have, the more creativity that you can apply to the situation. And we look at every single person differently. The question is, just don't let people tell you things can't be done. Come call me first. or any one of my Keller Williams agents, because, you know, that old saying, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're both right. Right? If you think you can, we can find a way. Might have to have a plan, might have to tell you this or that, but I get off on that. It turns me on helping people that don't think they can get a house. That's what keeps me in the game. Casey, I'm done talking to my son. How do you get so lucky to have you as a friend?
Actually, I'm the one that went after him.
Uh-oh. That's probably good. Crack the whip. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Hey, so you work at Succession Winery with Brock. He's a great guy. You guys are doing crazy things. Well, when you moved here, you came from Chicago. All right, so what's it like coming from Chicago to Lake Chelan?
Culture shock, for sure.
Really?
I don't think I really realized what I was doing until I was driving through South Dakota. And I realized, wow, this is pretty far away. And then also with living in Chicago, there's always restaurants open, always a place to go, eat, whatever it was. And when I would get off of work at 7 p.m., I couldn't find dinner. So that's been a lot different, and just the whole small town living. Yeah.
So about this time of year, the winery really gets busy.
Yeah.
Pretty dynamic crowds, bachelorette parties to just hanging out, watching the beautiful sunset.
Yep.
What do you when you got here and you realized that there are this many wineries? It's kind of a unique place, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
And you liking it?
Love it. I was only supposed to be here for 3 months, but I'm still here, so not going anywhere.
How's COVID doing? Is it kind of now mellowed out now? We're kind of over that a little bit and open full time at Succession?
Yeah, absolutely. We were really lucky that we have an indoor-outdoor experience. So with all the rules about having to have doors open and windows open, we were really lucky to still be able to have seating.
Yeah, I've been being in real estate and growing up on a small apple orchard. So I had this vision of agriculture with my dad, back when you could raise 3 kids on 10 acres of orchard, which is not hard to do now. But back then, in the good old days, it was fun. And then being in real estate, to watch the wineries come into play and the tourism and the ag combined. So ag tourism became a big deal. It's an interesting dynamic. I don't know, what is there, like 30 or 40 wineries now?
Yeah, I think I want to say 32, something like that.
Yeah, and a lot of them are not full-blown estate wineries where they have the grapes on the campus, so to speak.
Correct.
More tasting rooms and creating an experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
People like the final product.
Yeah. So one of the things I was telling you about is my in the last minute we got a segment is Crow. So if you're in the hospitality business, you should call and ask about the acronym CRRO with Keller Williams. And I'm one of the only ones that knows about it yet. I haven't told very many people. So it stands for the Community Realtor Referral Opportunity. With that free school, try to imagine somebody coming to your winery and saying, hey, I want to buy $1 million waterfront home. And because you have a real estate license, you can say, hey, Russ, this person wants to buy $1 million real estate on Lake Chelan. And they go, okay. And then they buy it. And that $1 million makes $30,000. That's a 25% commission to the person that referred us to that buyer because they have a real estate license. So that's like $6,000 in your pocket for 5 minutes worth of work. Bam. So for people that are in the hospitality business, ask me about that Crow. I'm going to have some cool medallions made with a bird that has a big realtor symbol on it. It's going to be fun. All right, guys. It's been nice talking to you. I appreciate you coming in and taping this. Congratulations, Mason. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. We'll be back with Michael Maher and PrimeLending in just a few seconds.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. Normally I talk about real estate on these real estate shows, but today I want to talk about something a little bit more serious and also a little bit of fun. I want to talk about corralling teddy bears. That's right, teddy bears. We're pretty good real estate brokers, but we're also pretty good at corralling teddy bears, and here's why. Our first responders need help. They need help helping children. So what I'd like you to do is talk to anybody in Keller Williams or go to any one of our offices and drop off a brand new teddy bear. We have bins at all of our Keller Williams offices, Leavenworth, 2 in Wenatchee, 1 in Chelan, 1 in Brewster, PrimeLending, their office in the Confluence Tech Center area, or KOZI or Z Country, and drop those teddy bears off so those first responders can give those teddy bears in times of need and crisis to children. Think about the kids. I really appreciate your help. Thank you very much. Let's go get some teddy bears. Hi, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I have an exciting opportunity that I want to share. Keller Williams is partnered with the largest real estate school in the country, and we are now offering free real estate training. That includes not just the 90 hours that you need for pre-licensing requirements by the state of Washington, but real-life practical experience as well. Give us a call at 509-888-0038 or email us at joinus@kwnCW.com.
You're enjoying The Real Estate Show, Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. Here's more with Russ.
I got Michael Maher per normal. How you doing, Michael?
Good, Russ. Happy to be here and happy to spread some knowledge.
You bet. For the 2 or 3 people that don't know Michael, he's with PrimeLending. He's a co-host of this show and one of our expert advisor allies that we use often at Keller Williams, one of our preferred lenders. And, you know, Michael, it's the hot topic. Oh, boy, we're shifting. And if we don't really know what shifting means, and that's the beautiful thing about a shift in the economy, nobody can predict the future. If we could, we wouldn't have to work. We just go to the casino and play roulette. But since we can't predict the future, rates are a hot topic. Interest rates have gone, what was it, a year ago we were at 3 something, and now we're at 5.
Yep.
Now, for people that haven't been around, that sometimes feels like the end of their opportunity to buy houses.
Right.
But for people that have been around, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% interest is still good.
Yes, definitely.
So one thing I want to talk about before I let you dive in on, you know, the economy and various options, buying down points and all kinds of stuff we can do to get people into homes on the structure side and the banking side or mortgage side, is how much interest is a tenant paying, Michael?
That would be a 100%.
Yes, that is a 100% interest payment. And that means you get the use or the benefit of the shelter for that 30-day period of time. But nothing else comes with it, including security, because guess what happens in a supply and demand problem area like we have, where we have more people than we have homes for, is those crazy landlords raise rents. So not only do you not get the deduction on your taxes, that interest is 100% deductible as a primary resident. Talk to your accountant. You also do not get appreciation, and you do not get security. Not that renting is always bad, but when someone's looking at where we're at today, so let's talk about the mindset of some of the challenges that we both have with mindset around the last year and a half.
Yeah, definitely. So really what it comes down to, and what I'm having a ton of conversations lately, is people that were pre-approved when interest rates were in the 3, and we didn't even really get to see 4s. It pretty much went straight up to an average of 5%. And what we're seeing in these discussions we're having are people are just going, you know what, the payment's too high, and their expectations on payments may not be as realistic with where values are currently at. So what we're trying to talk to people about is, like you said, rent, you're paying 100% interest no matter what. And if we can get you close to the payment that you're comfortable with, or even if you're squeezing your budget a little bit, if you're in a line of work where you're expecting regular raises, the beautiful thing about a mortgage is that it's a fixed interest rate. The payment will not change aside from taxes and insurance, but otherwise it doesn't change. You don't have a landlord boosting that up and raising it every year. It will remain fixed, and you can budget around that. But what I do know is that interest rates are going to continue to go up. So while now you get locked in, let's say at 4.875, or, you know, just for example, and then next month we're at, let's say, 5.25, because, you know, we've been looking at the beginning of the year in January, we were hovering around 3 and 1/8 roughly, and we're sitting at an average of 5. So that's how quickly they went up. So with all that being said, just being able to lock that in. And if you're looking to buy a house, try and buy now, and just know that in a month or 2 months, you're most likely going to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, and you see people also get used to certain things, right? Certain entitlements. In the last couple of years, we had the PPP loan, we've had the stimulus packages, and lifestyles, for lack of a better word, became more comfortable. I would ask someone, we've talked about this, where maybe somebody's off $150 a month from their goal and they decide not to buy because of that. And they kind of have tunnel vision, like racehorses put those little blinders on. And they're like, if I don't get this, I am not doing it. I'm going to go back to paying 100% interest on rent. I challenge them to ask, where can they sacrifice in lieu of getting a home? There's this thing called Folgers coffee. Remember that? Folgers crystals. And a thing called the coffee pot. I'm making a joke, being a smart aleck, but I don't see the line at Starbucks going down because interest rates went up.
Nope, not at all.
But I bet you at $5 to $6 a cup every day. Let's do the math on that. Usually have somebody with you, sometimes $10 times 30. That's $300 a month in Starbucks.
Yeah.
I challenge people to just look at the littlest things they spend of money on over the last year. Break it down into a month. Then add that back into the ability to borrow and be disciplined about that. And, the reality is owning a home is not an entitlement. It's not a right. A lot of people think it should be. A lot of people think that, everybody should have the right to own a home. But you know what? It takes discipline. It takes work ethic. We learned some valuable lessons for those who have been alive back in the Great Recession where, the banks were lending and mortgage companies were lending money to people that didn't have jobs, frankly, and want $1 million, sure. Well, I agree with you 100%. I think we could see 6 or 7% interest rate pretty fast.
Yeah, and on that creative part, what a lot of people don't realize is that do you get a tax return at the end of the year? And I know a lot of people do, especially people with kids. And I've seen upwards of, on average, $5,000 to $10,000 where people are getting that back. What if you were able to adjust your W-4 withholdings and how many, and you want to, consult a CPA, of course, but this is a discussion we've had as well, is what if you were to adjust how much taxes are taken out? So maybe you don't get as big of a return, but your monthly income has gone up because now you're using that money throughout the year, which ultimately can help you afford a little bit more in a mortgage payment. Is there some debt that we could consolidate or pay off to help boost that up if you have a big bucket of money or some money that is extra in addition to down payment? So it's about having all these discussions on looking at what's going on in the market right now. Prices don't seem to be going down, and they only continue to go up, it seems like, at this point. Interest rates are going up, taxes are going up. So what technically next month is probably going to bring, it's going to be a little bit higher. So by having these creative conversations with helping people budget, it can really open their eyes to figuring out what they truly can afford, and then, helping them get locked in while things are still low.
Yeah, when you say yes to something, one of the interesting conversations I had with a coach one time is when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. It's called opportunity cost in economics.
Yeah.
So what is the cost of making that decision to buy that new car versus maybe buying a used car? What is the cost of going to Starbucks versus having those Folgers crystals? These are decisions that you have to make when you want to be a homeowner, especially if you're a first-time homeowner and your debt-to-income ratios are on the edge of being too high. Well, we have to get that down somehow for you. We have to get you into a position where not only you're comfortable with it, but you can actually qualify. And discipline is part of the equation. There's other ways too. There's other methods. We can buy down the interest rates, and sometimes that will help your debt-to-income ratio and get your payment down. Michael, you're versed in that. And there's a plethora of ways that we can structure deals to where, like in one of the shows we were talking about, we talk about it all the time, even my son, where we can look at buying the ugly duckling in the neighborhood and maybe getting a little bit more equity in a home by buying something that not everybody wants to buy, like a 1 or 2 bedroom, and adding a 1 or 2 bedroom to make it a 3 or 4 bedroom versus going out and buying a 3 or 4 bedroom home that is retail, because that's where everybody's looking. That's where 90% of the people are. So let's go find that 2 bedroom home, a little one off the best neighborhood, but has a nice sized lot. And then let's let Michael Maher work his magic like you did with my son on a rehab loan. So we can put some of these, ugly duckling components that nobody likes, whether it be a kitchen or a deck or added a bedroom or a new roof, whatever the reason that the majority of people don't want to buy a home, but it's in a good lot. Well, Michael, you have the answer for that, don't you?
Exactly. Yep. It's a great option. And we have a lot of people right now taking advantage of it because especially in Wenatchee, there's some older homes that need some work, and it can be an amazing opportunity and strategy to help people get into something that just needs a little bit of work and instant equity. And no one could ask for anything better than that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of myths around buying homes too. We battle it every week. People think you need 20% down. People think you have to have your job for 2 years. People think that your credit has to be, 750 or above, your credit score. I mean, there's all these myths. So what I would recommend, in the last minute here of our segment, Michael, is I would recommend people call you. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can call or text me at 425-760-8824, and we can have that conversation about where they're at specifically in their situation and get them on a path to, even if they're not ready, get them on a path and a plan to hopefully get there someday. And we always, we don't judge or whatever the situation or you have going on in your life. We just are there to help.
Yeah, we're counselors as much as we're anything, and it's always confidential.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, thanks a lot, Michael. Have a great day. I appreciate it as always, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Hey, for everybody else out there, enjoy the day. Spend some time with your friends and family. The world's always changing. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. I enjoy the conversations each and every week. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.
It's a bright new day just came my way.